Previously, you saw that we could add rows to the database using the insert command within the PHP MyAdmin program.
This video is brought to you by OppiePie's Academy.
Simply click Insert, and then we could add the information, like the date, the distance, and the comment. Running in the rain again. Now, of course, we've got to have a way to do the same thing programmatically, and that's what this video is about. Notice that when we do the insert, it writes the SQL insert into runs, the values null, the date, the distance, and the comment. So this is the basis of an insert in a SQL database. And of course, if we were to look at the table again, you'll notice that that last element has been inserted. Well, here in our program, I've added a form at the bottom where we can also add information. Let's go ahead and refresh. And now let's go ahead and add our own. So let's say 11/12/2016. Distance 1.85. And let's say run, cut, short due to sore foot. Okay, we'll save. And that is added to the database and added to our display. So let's take a look at the code that makes that happen. What's especially interesting is you notice we're staying on the same page and updating it live right in front of the user's eyes, which is pretty cool. So let's bring up our code. And first off, I've added to below the PHP that displays the actual rows of runs, the table that has all the runs in it, an add new run section. This has a form with a method post, and the action is index.php, which is the same name as this page. So essentially the data will post to this very page. And then we have our actual form. You can see what that looks like here. Our date, distance, and comment. So we have a field first for date with a label and an input, using the input type date to bring up the calendar if the user desires. Then we've got distance, input type text, and finally label for comment or note, and this is also a text input. And then we have a submit button that has the word save on it. Once we press save, the index.php is going to be run, which is the same page, and the data that the user has typed into these fields will be passed to the page. So the page runs again, and we start up here on line 2. All of this in the if statement is also new code. First, we include our database connection, right? That connects to the database, localhost, root, database name runners log, and then we run the MySQL improved command to connect, server name, username, and password, and then we deal with a connection error and select our database using the MySQL improved select database function right there, using the connection and the database name. So that brings us back to line 3. Now, line 3, what we're essentially testing here is how this was loaded. So if this was loaded with a request method post, meaning the form had been filled out, we're going to do all this. If it hadn't been requested with the form method post, we're going to skip all this because there's no new data to post. So essentially this will only run what I've selected here if the form has been previously filled out by the user. Now we'll get the data that has been passed to the page from the form. So we get the run date from underscore post run date. We get the run distance from underscore post run distance. And we get the comment from underscore post run comment. So essentially the values from the form are passed into these super global array variables, underscore post, and I'm assigning them to local variables, run date, run distance, and run comment. And the reason I'm doing that is we need to make our SQL command. So insert into runs, that's the name of the table. The values, null, because this is an auto increment primary key field, and then the run date, the run distance, and the run comment. So we're inserting these into the runs table in the order of the fields. So we're getting the run ID, the run date, the run distance, and the run comment. So all of this is being inserted into the runs table. Notice that we have single quotes around each element. If we were to echo out the SQL so you could see it, let's go ahead and do that here. And we'll refresh so we can echo out the SQL. 11, 18, oops, that's 17, good enough. 2016, distance 2.15, first run in new sneakers. Save. And there you can see the actual SQL. So you saw just for a moment there the actual SQL that makes up our request. That gets passed to the database. So right here, this will take our SQL statement and pass it using the query command to the database. If it's successful, that'll return the value true. So if this is successful, we successfully give the data to the database, we'll return true. If we get an error, then this else block will run and we'll echo out error and tell the user what the error is. Then finally, we need to refresh the page so the new line of data displays. So that refresh, I'll show you how it happens. Let's save our code and let's make it refresh. 11, let's do 18, 2016, distance 3.0, note, switched back to the old sneakers. So that will now be passed to the database, the query will run, and then you saw the line added, that's when the refresh happened, and this data was redisplayed. So now you know how to display data from a database, add data to a database, so we're about halfway through our application. We now need to be able to delete data in the database and edit data in the database to make a complete app.